And we are back with more action here in Bitsler Dota 2 Cup. I'm Stinkypie, joined here by the one and only D2Bowie. We've got an interesting game here. It's SG versus NoPing. And actually, curiously enough, they recently did just play against each other less than 24 hours ago. So this is almost a continuation of that best of two. How are you feeling about this?
Oh, hello. I'm feeling pretty good. they just played. It was a 2-0 for NoPing, but surprisingly this time, it's actually SG that goes for the Queen of Pain. And NoPing was actually first phasing pretty much every game, so that's pretty interesting. Uh, they they actually get the Razor that is usually considered to be countered by the co-op, but I do think it was a hero that really allowed them to just like win the game two that they played. So maybe they just favored the Razor despite the co-op counter. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very strange, honestly, how this is almost like a what would you call it, best of four? Because we recently just played two games. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The Razor, as you're saying, generally considered to be countered by the mobility, but now you have the Shadow Team paired up with that. So do you think they're going to be putting them together in the same lane?
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. I think it's possible. Um, it is gonna be a little tough though, because if that Spirit Breaker is a core, they already have two cores that don't care about Razor too much. Even Spirit Breaker has the status resistance, so he's not gonna be able to lock the Spirit Breaker for too much time. So I'm actually liking SG's draft here. It feels like an upgrade in comparison to their, I guess, first BOT or the first part of the BO4.
And we see the Queen of
And
Pain these days honestly picked quite a bit as a safe lane. You get that Kaya Sanj. And obviously, it's more traditionally played in the mid lane, but what are your thoughts about this time around compared with Spirit Breaker,
um,
especially?
yeah, it is definitely something that other regions caught up to. In South America, I don't believe I saw a single carry co-op, but could be an arms hero. He definitely likes to play a little bit higher tempo, or I guess the better way to put it is that they play very like they really treat KXY as a carry. So co-op could potentially be sort of a help the mid like play carry. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like play carry from the carry position, but their actual carry is KXY. It's a high
Right.
tempo hero. It is mobile. Doesn't really need that much farm from the beginning. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that carry co-op.
Yeah. So rather than just playing the lanes, you're really juggling the roles that they fill in the game, I guess. And Spirit Breaker is sort of a similar hero. See that mid Spirit Breaker every now and then, but no matter what position you're played in, your role is still just to set up fights, to be the one providing vision, starting up and allowing the Queen of Pain to go in. And that's why I find it interesting that we see the IO pick, the IO band as well. IO with a Spirit Breaker. Similarly, you have sort of global setup, which can be very nasty to deal with. SG, they've got a lot of pick off potential. We'll see what else we get from here. Shadow Demon on the other side does lend itself to certain combinations such as Mirana, but I'm not all too convinced we'll see Mirana.
Yeah, they do love Mirana on the side of NoPing. Usually they go for the Senking Mirana when they actually have first pick, just because you get the two picks in a row in the second phase. So because they don't have that, I'm assuming, yeah, they already go towards this Weaver. So it's probably going to be Shadow Demon Weaver support. And you have this Razor that probably wants to avoid the Quap and the Spirit Breaker lane. So let's see what else SG picks. And I think they're going to decide the Razor role based on the other core that SG actually picks up, if the Breaker is indeed a core as well.
Yeah, but seeing the Weaver now, I'm a bit worried as to whether NoPing have the tools to lock down a Queen of Pain. Right now, their only real, I mean, if you want to call it a stun, is the Shadow Demon with the disruption. They don't have any actual silences or follow up onto a Queen of Pain who can quite easily link out of that.
That is true. And they played both games against SG the same way. They had like a Ravage or very few stuns, generally speaking, which could be a problem. I definitely agree. Most of the time, they were the ones actually playing the co-op, so that didn't really felt like too much of a problem. But if you do have the co-op on the enemy side, it could become very cumbersome for them indeed. And now they go Lion, and this is probably gonna reveal whether the breaker is gonna be core or not.
Yeah, Lion pretty good. In some ways against the Weaver. Obviously, you can lock Weaver himself down, but sometimes that burst damage with a finger comes out just a little too fast for the Weaver to use the axe. Can be a bit tricky to deal with. Two completely different styles of drafting coming out. SG almost feels like they have to be aggressive. They have to be the ones starting fights, whereas NoPing looking to sort of catch that aggression and counter initiate trap.
Mm-hmm. They both sides actually liking a lot on Siege, so it would be nice to see some sort of, especially for SG since they're playing the Radiant side, being able to take that top tier one early and secure Roche. I think that's a big problem from SG in general. Like they play Radiant and they rarely pick heroes that can do Roche, even though they have that advantage. And they go this Dawnbreaker. It's interesting because he flexes, right? So you can't really tell whether the Dawnbreaker is the 4 or the Spirit Breaker is the 4 or even Lion. Could be Dawnbreaker 5.
Yeah, I really have no idea what to expect, but it still fits to that same idea. You're jumping the enemy, you have the follow up from the Dawnbreaker, Spirit Breaker. I would say one of the best heroes to have with Dawnbreaker Queen of Pain as well. Just making them so tanky, so hard to turn around a fight. All you can do is turn tail and run. But that's where SG are so good at chasing you down.
Yeah. The team fight on SG is looking pretty good. I don't think there's two heroes that NoPing can get where they out team fight SG, so they probably just want to make sure they have the better carry to carry matchups. They will have overall last pick here in the second phase and third phase, so they should probably just not care too much about this huge team fight. There's not a lot of push anyway, so it's not like SG can just go force everything too much, because for them to even take the tier 1 top and the tier 2s, it will take them a fair amount. So it does buy time for whatever NoPing wants to pick as their carry and mid, presuming Razor is offlane. Okay.
That's an interesting one. That's going to give them a bit of that control, a bit of the team fight that they're quite clearly losing out on. But a Kunkka, we see again pretty flexible these days. Hallmark of this meta. We'll see if you can actually get the job done because your damage output is pretty high, but in a way, it's not quite that constant DPS that some other carries off.
Yeah, definitely. I actually, I feel like this Kunkka could easily be mid just because it's a good matchup. It's all a question on what exactly KXY is going to be playing. Since SG, they don't have last pick, NoPing will be able to properly decide. I feel like this Kunkka, as you said, could be played in any lane. So you don't have to necessarily play carry Kunkka here. I think the carry Razor would still be pretty okay. And then you just make sure Kunkka lanes against Quap, whether it's mid or whether it's in the off lane. And you just get the last pick that allows RDO to carry.
And they
Remaining
finally
off
do
laner.
have something that combines with the Shadow Demon, I guess. Disruption is Torrent, that's something to look out for.
Mm-hmm. They do have that little bit of setup. They also have, I think, a pretty decent amount of saves. The Kunkka, eventually we will have Ags. You have this Kunkka with the boat. They do start to be able to take some team fights at least on the side of NoPing. It didn't really look like they were able to do with those three first heroes, but the Kanka kind of evens things out a little bit in my opinion.
And you were talking about the lack of push coming out from SG. They've taken out the Terrorblade as well from the side note. So really going to be quite hard to siege these towers oriented that way.
Yeah, I wonder if Dusa is something they're willing to play. They did play in their first series when they were playing Radiant. It is, they do have lots of heroes to defend that Dusa with the Dawnbreaker, but it's a little annoying. The Shadow Demon actually, like, you have this Medusa that wants to stand her ground, but Kunkka just makes it super hard for her. You have the Weaver, the Razor just sapping damage. Maybe something like a. It's tough. Like, as a Razor, like, you either need a range hero that out harasses the Razor, or you need something that's mobile. Okay, yeah, they go draw.
Well, you nailed it there. Just beats the Razor at his own game, maybe. Just keeping your range, making it so that you cannot get that damage sap off. But the Centaur, absolutely one of the best heroes in the game when it comes to getting on top of the Drow Ranger and allowing game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the power of last pick, right? I really like the center response here. It allows them to have gap close against everything SGs has. You also have this very good lane for the Kunkka against the Quap. It's gonna be analog versus KXY. There's a couple of good things on SG's draft too. You have Breaker versus Razor, so that hero will usually be able to get out of the link. He can lane versus Razor, but it's still a pretty hard lane, I think. Like you have this I mean, this Lion Spirit Breaker versus a Razor Shadow Demon feels really easy to just get the link with the disruption, as you said. Then you Razor is maxed out, just run everyone down. Even if you don't kill them, you're still zoning pretty much the entirety of the SG. I do favor NoPing. SG's draft looks okay, right? You have these two range heroes with the Drow Ranger and Quap, but NoPing just looks more solid. And they did beat SG 2-0, so there's obviously bias there.
Yeah, oftentimes that can matter more than anything else. Just the psychological game, the momentum, and the difference in some of these matchups, especially when these teams have played against each other quite a few times. So, past couple of months from the same region. So that's just to see. Can we overcome things? Psychological barrier. I fully expect quite a bit of tipping.
It is very possible. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, as you said, because these two teams play each other that much, even if I mean, let's say the skill gap is a little bit tilted towards no ping, just because they know each other so well, things get much more interesting, right? Because you know everything that they pick, you know how they play, and you can definitely find ways to outsmart your opponents. So let's see if this smoke gank, they are going for the small little cheese here.
Yeah, not actually finding anyone just yet is a little more aggressive than necessarily has to be the case. Often we just see the smoke
Amateur.
being used to poke around, test the vision. Be right there. Stone Breaker gonna make sure that they're on board for place own.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like we'll see any kills just yet. There is that early combination that we talked about, the disruption into a torrent, perhaps. Not finding any targets. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, that vision check could be a bit tricky to diagnose because the
Yeah,
ward
it
was
is on the
placed on
other
the other
side.
side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart from SG. You definitely make things a little bit hard, but you could still. Oh, there you go. They're not gonna find it. But I guess they just block the smoke camp. It actually paused, so I can't see. Maybe they just wanted to block the smoke camp at the same time.
Yeah, it does. It must be on the edge, which also means it'd be
Mm.
pretty easy to reward themselves, get blocked. Or Queen would be quite aware of that. The small camp stacking for the mid laners has been pretty big, but just more generally as well, stacking triangle has played a very large part in these games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit too strong with heroes that can stack it from afar, like an alchemist, or heroes that can stack it and just blink back to the lane. So even though it got nerfed, I still feel like XY would get a little bit of value out of it. But let me see. Yeah, it does block it. So kind of a nifty little sentry there. Unfortunately, just doesn't find the no ping ward.
Alright, so walk me through this mid matchup, both in terms of the heroes and the players. Generally speaking, Pain is supposed to do well against most melee carries, right?
Yeah, Kunkka is definitely one of the exceptions. He just because of the way Tidebringer works, it makes it very hard for the cop to play. You don't really pierce armor, but you do like 150% damage on the Tidebringer, so it is super annoying for the cop. Uh, there are a couple of play arounds, like especially level 1 and level 2 Tidebringer. The range is not that big, so Cop can kind of dance around it a little bit. But once Kunkka gets level 5, it's super hard. But he is actually taking a lot of damage there. He overplayed his hand a little bit.
Yeah, you get a bit of that healing from the Queen of Pain too. Rune Control, also pretty important most of these matches. Down bottom lane, taking a bit of damage around field for even that very hard to make sure.
Alright. Gonna live. But, I mean, it's probably like a 55-45 matchup for the Kunkka, maybe even 60-40. Wait, did Analog just learn X and did it what?
Yeah, not what you see this early on. X-Mark, they even have a bottle, so people can sort of match that without the extra ball for rebuild. This time, though, Bitsler is going to go down. Overextending a bit, perhaps trusting in free wasn't anywhere near to follow up. But free first blood going over on the top side of things. I go take damage. Now fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if he didn't realize he didn't have enough money for the bottle. But yeah, like this, having level 2 Tidebringer is really what makes this lane kind of feasible for the Kunkka. So the fact that he goes for the X definitely just allows KXY to totally dominate this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so awkward. He just took the water rune there while his bottle is walking out, waddling out on the slow courier. It just doesn't really make sense.
Very fascinating place.
Up top lane, we've got the disruption coming in. 2 stacks of that shadow poison. Will not be enough to take him out. No, it will actually. Bit of help from the illusions as well. So that is 1-1 on the board. Something. Mid lane,
Analog's getting
taken so low.
Mid here. Yeah, he's going for some low percentage torrents. He's trying to like outplay KXY, but yeah, like KXY is definitely, I would say he's probably the most talented player on SG. He's definitely like the most skilled one. So I think Analog has to be very careful, even though his matchup is favorable.
Well, this time the X-Mark will actually be pretty useful. Does fill up that bottle, does fill full HP. On the other hand, Queen of Pain rather, pretty exhausted in the mana department. So we'll be seeing any action in the near future, but once level 6 comes online, I think things could really change.
Oh yeah, I do feel like Analog has to buy range drops here. Once Cop gets level 6, you do oh, Cop lane.
Turning around with the static link, KJ taking extremely huge blow. No bash is coming out just yet. Will still go down, but only after Rio takes down the support for support trade. Hard to say who wins this now. Just maybe disengaging with the charge there. Didn't feel like he was able to win against damage sold by the race.
Ooh, and it's rough, right? Because I think in the past, when Kunkka used to be like really, really strong, was when TPs would cost 50 gold. Right now, like, just buying the TP to do this doesn't feel as good as it used to be, just because it's literally double the price. So he has to force the support to TP middle.
Well, maybe if you want more TPs, there is always a way of getting free TPs. Well, I'm not too sure you want to do that. 5 stacks of poison nearly taking down KXY. And he runs him down. He just runs him down, pressing E.
Okay.
And there's those tips.
Like all you make, I don't mean it literally.
Those are friendly tips. All right. Very friendly. Just commanding the support. So, I mean, that's one way to solve a lane that you lost, right? Just bring your support to bully the mid laner.
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, oh, you have this nice combination, torrent into, coming out from that disruption. Right back the other way. Slow already there from that Shadow Strike. It's going to be pretty easy to follow up with the CC of the line. He wasn't spotted out by any wards. But right back the other way we go.
That's big because KXY didn't have to use his Sonic Wave to get that kill, so he still has not only the spell but the resources to rotate if needed. You gotta be careful on the side lanes.
Yeah, we're at the point where perhaps the, I guess, global rotation out from SG could come into play. Spirit Break was charged so far, he's just been sitting in his own lane, but obviously you can charge anywhere on the map. Disruption into the boat. Timing is going to be pretty good. The X mark just to make sure he doesn't go anywhere.
You don't have
That's
the
going to be yet another kill in the mid lane. Lots of action here. And it really seems to be whoever gets the support in the lane win.
Oh, that's so bad for SG because I think they had a really good power spike there. Not only they had the resources on Quap, they just needed to scout the rune for KXY. It was actually a region. But instead the support showed bottom. They didn't really try to help him. And I mean, Kanka's back into this game. He is ahead in CS now. It was looking so bad. And all of the work of KXY is, you know, in a way lost a little bit there.
All that effort for nothing. All it takes is 1 or 2 deaths for the game's equilibrium to reset. We do have that Spirit Breaker charge finally coming down bottom. Arms, as you're saying, did go down earlier. Glyph activated. We're going to be able to take the tower, going for the dive as well. Going for the easier target that presents itself. Spirit Breaker a little too late. Actually pretty good timing there, countering the send for Stampede. Now turning things around, the silence makes it hard for Weaver to escape. But Monster, he's just a little too tanky to deal with when he's caught that Vanguard in mid lane, actually. Both of our mid laners going down.
Yeah, that was a very YOLO jump from KXY. I believe he actually got the kill before he perished, so at least he gets that experience advantage. But not ideal. I feel like he probably could have used his resources better going bottom, right? Because he is a much more mobile hero than Kanka. So there's no way for Analog to be in that fight. So, unfortunate,
the
but
timing
not
on
that
the
bad.
Stampede definitely didn't do him any favors. We see KJ here just stacking the triangle. TP's back into the mid lane though. We get a nice big smart onto the Dawnbreaker. They do have detection. Feel that it is only level 4 on the Dawnbreaker, not that tanky just yet. Both sentries.
Alright. Very nicely done. And that's a lot of
very
speed
early level 6 on the Shadow team, just because he's been a part of some kills that pretty much solo.
Exactly. He he got a free lane for a little bit as well. He got a couple of stacks, so he's getting that extra gold. The stacks he made for RDL, he's been farming that for a bit. That was a lot of space. They already got the bottom tower, so NoPing definitely with the advantage, even though it could look even from the full score.
Yeah, they're sort of pulling ahead in net worth. I mean, 2K 9 minutes in, it's not huge, but I suppose it is significant. This streak is pretty even among cores as well. It's just gonna be a bug going down, surrounded by 5 heroes. Pretty standard movement from a support. Only try to get some vision, you end up dying for it. Not exactly too upset by that.
Not at all. That's 5 heroes chasing, you know, 200 gold, whilst NoPing is farming all 3 cores. Oh, can they stop this charge?
Yeah, it stops the charge, but still gets stunned with that disruption heading out for the boat. Pretty tanky on the Spirit Breaker, but his team has bailed on him. He will end up going down. Gold lead of note.
Yeah, the Spirit Breaker didn't count with that ward. Oh, okay, they do smoke under vision. So both wards there being a thorn on both teams' shoes. Let's see if they can wrap around.
Pretty defensive posturing from SG, holding the high ground there. That smoke is not going to find anything. They do have the Stampede up. They really want to, so if NoPing try and force it.
Interestingly, the Quap's actually going for the Orchid build. That is not something we see very often in this patch. I mean, yeah, they have, you know, a way to cancel the Stampede. They have a way to stop the disruption. But I feel like KXY, if he doesn't have a Kaya Sandra or BKB, it's going to be very easy to be bursted down. He needs to play very carefully to utilize this item now.
And we've seen that a couple of times already. Just chain CC coming out from about, especially Queen of Pain, a hero who really does like that mobility. Stun can be pretty difficult. Gonna be seeing the tower trade mid for tier 1. Both pretty high value towers, which is more value.
I mean, it is definitely more valuable to take the mid tier 1, but it is good. That's, you know, the beginning for SG. They are slowly climbing their way, at least towards map control. They're climbing their way. I do feel like they have to start farming arms a little bit more. He is, you know, when you compare to the Razor, it's almost 1,000. Oh, Theo.
Just gonna be the same story. Fever runs in, gets pulled. It's been pretty quiet though. There's just a soft kill here or there, which is a bit surprising to me considering that SG that got all of this mobility, especially now that Stonebreaker has the ultimate. Start getting aggressive, so I wouldn't mind seeing them going a little deeper.
Yeah, ideally they would like to contest the stack, but they don't have any vision in the triangle. Oh, look at that massive thing of beauty.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of experience given over as well in addition to the gold. Konka, pretty good strength gain on that hero. Does get a whole bit accurate.
That warms my heart so much. Every time I see a stack being farmed like this. So pretty.
Who needs to fight when you can farm? Really not taking too much action on SG. You know, I totally agree with you when the Drow Rangers farm, but you don't need the Drow Rangers to be fighting. They're gonna be going for the tankiest target on the side of NoPing. Central War Runner, you've got some backup now with a Weaver. That's just not going to result in anything.
Yeah, there was no detection there on LTH. If he actually had one, maybe they could have bursted Theo, even though he has ult.
Yeah, instead they're going to be charging mid, but the counter engage coming out from the Centaur with the Stampede hasn't connected on anyone just yet. Finger, they actually burst down the Tonka. Tonka out of the picture. Can they continue this fight? Razor is going to be able to steal a fair bit of damage here. KXY didn't actually have the ability to blink out there. And although they lose their Tonka, the Stampede couldn't find anyone just in with. Razor showing up, he's just a little
Yeah, definitely. They even have this Midas, right? So not only this is a 5k goal lead, it's NoPing taking fights with a Midas. And like SG that's supposed to have the early game, supposed to maybe force things a little bit too much whilst the draw farms. They're the ones just watching. It's a really deceptive kill score, right? It's a 5k goal lead at 13 minutes.
Yeah, top 3 net worth all belong to NoPing at this point. Yeah, Midas on Razor, it's not a standard item, but honestly, Midas on any right-clicking or hero, never too outlanded. But yeah,
yeah, I'm just surprised that they're being able to take all of those fights, even though he has a Midas, right? Usually you would expect something a little bit more passive, maybe. But yeah, he has no cares. He feels very confident on the strength of his hero.
Late game for SG, it really is all gonna come down to the Drow Ranger. We'll see if Drow pull it off. And Drow, this patch is, I want to say, kind of hit and miss. If it works, it looks really good, but against the hero like a Centaur, really messed up your positioning.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at his pop and I really don't feel like she needs this Orchid. Like, you have charge already. You know, even though he was farming this Orchid, he also died a lot, so he played aggressively even though his intent was farming. Oh, and they have a ward here. Doesn't feel like SG knows about this. And he doesn't clip the ward. Okay.
Once again, Theo gets pulled, but are we too upset about that? I'm not sure. It's not great, but you still got the Razor with a mic.
Yeah. Okay, so the sentry is pretty much on the edge there. He doesn't find Are they baiting? I can't see if the sentry actually... Yeah, there's no way they're baiting. This is...
They do
Or are
have the
they?
Solar Guardian. Is going to be enough for them to disengage, work it onto the Kunkka. He can't get any of the spells off. Very aggressive movement coming from KXY. We'll see if he gets punished for it. He does take down the sword, but that's never worth your own life. Theo providing the bugs. We'll see if they can actually chase down the Queen of Pain. It's going to be pretty hard. He's playing away to a pretty good location. And the Drow Ranger getting the kite out onto the Razor. Razor closing the distance. It's got the heavy collar from Kunkka as well. So Arms the entire time, unable to get the damage done. Now he's got the enemies on top of him. Sure, you've got the Hurricane Pike, that's nice. But actually will be enough. Arms gets the distance, gets the damage, turning it around. So many right clicks coming out from him. He gets the marksmanship procs as well. And Monster, tanky as he is, also going to take up all the full team wipe there.
That was really good by KXY. You know, I was actually complaining that he played too aggressively. In that fight, he came back, even though he could have just ran to the base, you know. Your 4K player would have definitely just ran to the base and heal. He actually came back. The silence there bought time. He used his body to tank some of that damage. And that allowed Arms to really do a lot of damage in that fight. Really nicely done by SG. Even though they had the vision advantage from NoPing. Very surprising that the fight... It was a super split fight, so that's probably why they were able to take it at the end.
Well, you were saying, what if it's the base? And SG definitely seemed ready with the Solar Guardian to counter-initiate, so... You know, maybe not having full vision, but they must have had some idea of what was happening.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about this one, though. I think under a sentry with a Dawnbreaker, that's the here you don't want to have here. You want the Dawnbreaker to be away on the other side of the map. So it's just a very awkward start to the fight, which is pretty easy for NoPing to take.
Okay. Arms, though, finally assumes that... Okay, as I praise him, he actually got... the Razor did use the Midas. But the Drow looking really good. They gave him the time, and now he is going for this Shadow Blade. Alright, I don't mind it, although I do feel like BKB is really good this game. I hope he doesn't scamp over it. Oh, this game's my dad.
Blink on Blink, very awkward there, but Monster didn't actually use the stomp we had to have. Disruption, but counter initiation, once again, it's not enough. Solar Guardian has been used, does not actually save the carry. The rest of the team does join in. LPH getting left behind. We'd rather have him die than the Dawnbreaker. Of course, when both die on top of their Queen of Pain, that's pretty much the worst case scenario imaginable for SG and Arms. He wants a piece of this action and even gets the D ward. Gotta be very careful.
That's such a... like this is seems minor, but it really isn't. KXY actually learned the third point in Shadow Strike instead of getting the fourth point in Blink. He would have lived there with Dawnbreaker's ult if he actually had the fourth point in Blink. He didn't have the cooldown. So I hope he farms his level 13. Yeah, there you go. And now he probably will feel much safer jumping in those fights.
Yeah, pretty close call. It was very awkward. Quite half the vision went for the aggressive Blink itself, which happened to dodge the aggressive Blink of the enemy.
So they are controlling the triangle here as NoPing. They drop some wards. Really good movement, kind of forces both the mid and the carry player bottom. They're sharing very few farm, so not great for SG. The problem is that NoPing can't really force Roche, so they're gonna try and smoke.
Yeah, can't force Roshan just yet. That might change to get a couple of pickoffs, but the Dawnbreaker being a bit underleveled relatively this game. This could be much bigger. Talk about underleveled. Queen of Pain is definitely not underleveled big. Stun comes out.
Yes.
Queen of Pain though gets X-Mark right back into the boat turret. That's going to be a pretty easy kill. And without the Queen of Pain, easy pickings on the line as well. Is this what they need to take Roshan? NoPing. Definitely headed in that direction. So going for the charge there, steals the Arcane Room, but he definitely cannot hang around for too long.
Yeah, I mean, they could try and force this, although I think it would be fairly slow. So pop. Oh,
Yeah, they really are
Okay,
going to
we-
force it, but that's what it is. It's not a natural fight for them to take whatsoever with 2 heroes still in the grave. Arms. And his shadow
yeah,
building
I think
fire.
their plan is just to waste time so that NoPing they won't be able to, like, if they create enough chaos, NoPing won't be able to really group up in the Roche. So nicely done there. He ults, but he had Arcane, so that's not really gonna be too much of a problem. Oh, and
Monster, he's got the
he is
charge on
alone
him.
bottom. Yeah.
Silence
that.
as well. That immediate response there. Theo shows up just in time. Doesn't actually have the axe, so he kind of safe, but so tanky on the center. Finally does get taken down. Static Link steals a fair bit of damage. Argeo looking to turn things around. Will that BKB still get charged up anyway because of the Action Scepter? Will that be enough to allow them to disengage? No, we're going right back in, but there's just no follow-up. He's left high and dry and said they're going to go for the Kunkka. A much bigger kill if they can get him, and he dies before he can use the boat. No Kunkka, no boat. Centaur taken down earlier as well. Does have a buyback if he really needs it. Theo, honestly, not too much he can do by himself, really just there to enable his cores. But of course, they have all the support from the Victor. It's going to be SG looking for a nice team up.
Right. I'm very surprised. I mean, yeah, it was a buyback on the SP, so it doesn't make this team fight look as good as potentially could have. And it's also a fight bottom, so it's away from Roche, which SG would love to take. So it's not like NoPing cares too much about it, but it does show that SG, it's a 6k goal lead, but they can take fights, and that's super important for their self-confidence.
Very surprised it went as well for SG as it did going on the Centaur. It seems like the absolute worst target, but actually catching out Analog side there. So really making positioning, again, that sort of obvious thing to look out for.
Yeah, I think his BKB was flying to him there. He did complete it now, so it's gonna be much harder to do what they did in that team fight. Let's see what NoPing wants to do. They still have the wards on the triangle, so potentially they could just smoke again, try to take control. They find 1 or 2 pickoffs. Oh, that is a weird smoke.
Yeah, Queen of Pain
that is-
immediately breaking that as well. Smoke on smoke action. See what happens. Monster, he's got that
Okay.
blink dagger, of course, but he'll be able to find the right target. Queen of Pain with the Yule Scepter sometimes can be a bit elusive. And yeah, they do spot out the Queen of Pain. Blink out. Or blink in. No one
They
dead
got him
just
patient.
yet. Both teams should have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Ooh,
Really
Drow
nice of them
Ranger
to
shows
slow
mid.
there.
Monster is gonna get the blink in. Force staff very nicely. Now the counter initiation under the towers. Sentry's just a little too tanky. Still gonna be using everything on him. Disruption there for the save. No one dead just yet. Stonebreaker goes in, doesn't actually connect. Just a whole lot of spells being used. No one getting stunned. No one getting killed. Or have I spoken
Yeah, I
too
think that
soon?
Solar Guardian was a little bit too early.
Yeah, and without the School of Guardian, what do you really offer as a support Bonebreaker? Apparently nothing right there. Those guys, a little bit vision.
They did force a fair amount of spells from the side of SG, but they still don't really feel comfortable going for that Roche. No Medallion on the Weaver, actually going for the Lincolns on Theo, so... I mean, they're in no rush. They're still outfarming everyone. They have the Midas on Razor, but I feel like this draw will eventually become a huge problem for Weaver.
What an awkward smoke there. Immediately gets broken in the river, and the timing gets a little too fast.
Yeah, the smokes on the side of SG have not been pretty, to say the least. And also super late with the smoke there. Once LKH jumped, if he was faster, I'm sure they could have been able to get the Hex into her spike. But even still, it was just a Weaver. So the problem is the smoke itself, not the way he pressed the buttons.
Yeah, you mentioned this during the draft. Lack of Roshan ability there. Weaver, yeah, if you go for the full mind control, maybe you can get it done, but Razor and Tonka are both not except strong when it comes to taking that. Roach. Nothing on the level of Drow range.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the weaknesses on their draft. As long as they can control the map and outfarm, it doesn't matter that much. I think it's more important that they just don't allow SG to take Roche, which they have been pretty successful at. But, you know, a different lineup could have probably already gotten Roche, forced those tier 2s. So this might be a slow game, even though NoPing has been doing pretty well. Wow, as I say that, they just go in. We do have a lot of vision in Roche.
Yeah, are we gonna try and contest as SG as Snap? Like they have any idea. And yeah, it's a slow and painful Roshan, but as you were saying, I mean, kill score is honestly a bit deceptive, right? 17 and 22, but we're still looking at all tier 2 towers standing 26 minutes until the game.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, XY. Find a little center.
That was very awkward, literally just running in on the Queen of Pain. Not to get punished for it, but TPing back home, is this perhaps an opening for No to get something done?
Could be a tier 2 for sure. Oh, looks like the support's there. Okay.
Yeah, getting onto the Weaver, but there's not that much follow-up. They get the finger, but no cores there for the damage, and what was that BKB? Bit too strong. Finally, Queen of Pain shows up, but that Sonic Wave just didn't feel like it's hit anything whatsoever. Ixmark back is gonna spell, and well, that's actually a dieback on Pico there. So no Spirit Breaker for more than a minute. If it wasn't a guaranteed tier 2 before, it's definitely gonna be now. Do you go for Hyper?
I think so. It was a really weird fight from SG. Like, not only the Drow didn't feel willing to take that fight, as you said, the supports were a little bit too far ahead. So, you know, you're fighting to these ages. It's not like NoPing actually pushes that fast anyway. So as long as you don't give them a good fight, you don't lose heroes, you can slow down the push fairly well as SG. But now, when you don't have your SP, this is just gonna be easy peasy.
One good turn deserves another, going in on the Dawnbreaker. This time we'll be able to survive for a bit, but that edge mark is just so powerful when it comes to chasing down the kills. Without the Dawnbreaker, that's a pretty good form of wave clear. Arms is still holding on to that BKB. I believe it's 9 seconds beat, so it's pretty hard to go on to him. They are slowly but surely going for this.
Drow do so much damage, like as long as SGS has 5, that Aegis doesn't mean anything for NoPing besides getting tier 2s, I think. So really awkward that they try to force the fight there. I think, you know, they were actually maintaining that 6k deficit for a while, so it meant that at least they were farming just as much as NoPing. Now it increased a fair amount. Arms has BKB, but does he have enough damage? That's the question.
Well, looking at the graphs here, it constantly has been in NoPing's favor, but they just haven't been closing out just yet. Still a fair bit of time left on the pages, however. If they want to go mid, Spiritbreaker goes in with the charge. It is very quick. We'll be able to clear out the wave and still get out.
What a hero.
You can get the Vital too. Gotta be the better item to have.
Yeah, that's so good for Hiko. I'm surprised he's 3-3. He's, you know, he even bought back there, but he only died 3 times. Looking pretty good.
Monster in the front. Getting on the tower out. That part pretty much impervious to any tower damage. Charge coming in. Is this the target you want to be going on, however? Here with the Aegis. And actually, he gets pulled. He gets pulled. He's only just respawned, only just died. Forced to use BKB, looking to turn things around. A lot of damage being stolen from that static link. Razor is able to survive for now with that BKB, however. Does have the refresher on top of that if he really needs it. Nope, not needed to take down a Spiritbreaker. 7-4 on the other side of things does get saved once again. Both is only on to 1, but that's still both supports taken out of the picture. On top of the Spiritbreaker there, finally getting rid of the Aegis. We're gonna be respawning with that, oh no, we don't have the BKB. This is a huge shot. Can they get the damage done? Arm, he just can't follow up there. A lot of damage being split on these two cores. Not get the damage out on one of them. Sure, NoPing, they lose the H. They get what? 3 kills out of that? Not terrible, considering that it was unlikely that they would break high ground anyway.
Exactly. It was a little bit unfortunate there. He did cancel the charge because he realized that they were camping the high ground, but he was still close enough for the SD to engage, and now they are gonna lose LTH on top of it all. So maybe
No idea what you're doing outside of your base. And well, just as I say that,
BKB.
no idea what Arms is doing outside of his base. He's gonna get stunned up. The supports are just not there for the defense. Utility, the both will come in. That's gonna be a dead Drought Ranger. No buyback, no BKB. It's all falling apart here. Sure, you get the Shadow Demon, but what of it? You just have no more damage output without the Drought Ranger. In fact, there's so little damage output. There's zero respect here from NoPing. Sentinel Runner has almost 5.5k HP. He is actually the fit here. You're in your own base, but what of it?
Rough game. It gets to a point where the NoPing heroes are really tanky, right? You have pretty much 3 strength cores, because Razor's strength gain is like 3, pretty much. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of strength heroes that have less than what Razor has. And the damage is just lacking on the side of SG. There's not a lot of damage coming from the Downbreaker, the Lion, super under farm, 1 in 8, 1 Finger of Death charge. So once the bolt comes out, there's just not enough damage on the side of SG to burst people, especially when there's a refresher on the Razor at 30 minutes, so he has double BKB, double Link, double Linkens, double Spider Legs. Just way too much coming at SG.
Charge out is gonna take down one of the teams. Actually, have I spoken to? There's no way to get back here, right? Even using the Sonic Wave for good measure, a kill is a kill. Now you don't have the Sonic Wave for this upcoming fight. Do you really want to force it on the monster? He's an absolute beast. Look at him. His HP just is not going down. He has the Shadow Demon anyway. Got the disruption there onto the Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain will be able to blink out, but the Drought Ranger again. I did not see that happening. It's just an RDO running in. Well, what are you going to do to stop him? He still hasn't even used the BKB. It's just absolutely ridiculous how strong he is. With the Spider Legs, with the boost is probably a little.
Yeah. Alright, the GG comes out. Oh, wait, what?
GG into the buyback. That is some classic NA Dota attack. Okay, well, NoPing are going to be able to take that. I don't want to say it was a convincing victory, but it definitely felt like they were ahead the entire time.
Yes. I think it was a pretty decent draft from SG. I just don't like the way KXY played. Like, he goes for this Orchid trying to be the carry, which he usually tries to. But I feel like he just needed a new Scepter. And as long as he fought with everyone else on the side of SG, which they also, I don't think they fought as much as they had to. You just allowed this Razor to go Midas, right? And it just made the game really, really hard for SG because Arms was underfarmed. But once like KXY went back for the U-Scepter to survive all of the combos and damage from NoPing, he already had 4 deaths. So I don't even feel like the U-Scepter makes any sense. He's forced to... I don't know. I just felt like if he went using to Kaya Sanj or using to Orchid, he would have a much better game. But they played well, and I wouldn't be surprised if they can take game 2.
NoPing now, including their earlier series, have just played 3 games against SG and won all of them. We'll see if SG can turn things around in game number 2 of this best of 2. We'll be right back after the break. And we're back with game number 2 of NoPing versus SG. NoPing took game 1, not necessarily in the cleanest fashion. We're ahead the entire time, any huge mistakes. And SG feels like they never really got to play their game.
Yeah, it was. I do feel like they made it a little bit harder on themselves, but I actually really like that they're playing Dire. I think for the past 4 games, I saw SG trying to play Radiant, so I feel like their style actually kind of favors Dire a little bit more. Just play for the late game. They didn't really want to make a lot of moves, so it could possibly be much better. And I also really like the lane they're going for. If this is actually Hiko, Spirit Breaker, and Zapfire 4, it's a very strong lane.
Well, strong lanes definitely can help setting things up, but even though you think some matchups are good, doesn't necessarily mean they play out that way. I mean, mid lane was really back and forth. I mean, XY and analog kills all over. Support rotation in pretty well.
True. But with a team that is struggling like SG, you want to give yourself a really good chance of at least playing the game. So I think focusing on strong lanes is the best you can do, right? There's not much you can really solve like actual player problems and the fact that maybe you don't have the best hero pool, but you can actually pick strong lanes that everyone's familiar with and just try to snowball from there.
No, that's definitely one
Um,
way to approach it, rather than trying force your way into a game where you're behind, close outmatched. If you win the lane, at least you have something to play off of, even if later on the enemy does out strategize or out you. At least you have something going in literal sense. But changes draft round IO actually matched up with a lot of there. But on the other side of that part, very
mhm. This is pretty interesting because NoPing every time they open with IO, with maybe one exception, has been IO Luna. This time they actually go for the Doom, so some innovation there. That's also a hero I don't remember seeing No Ping playing a lot of. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually like a mid Doom or support Doom. I don't think we should assume it's necessarily gonna be an off lane. But regardless, it is, if they're in the same lane, it's definitely a really good lane where you just chase your opponents and you just kill them. Like you're so fast and you're so sustainable that eventually you just get any kills you want.
yeah, not quite the same, I guess, stun potential that you'd see coming out from Spirit Break Sapphire. Pretty nasty combination. You have Spirit Break charge fast, get cooked. That's a stun charge the stun. All the follow up damage from the Sapphire Kiss is pretty good too. We'll see if it works out for them. Spirit Breaker versus Doom is a very fraction static.
Yeah, it's definitely annoying. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if this Doom is an actual support. Although they would be lacking a lot of instants. Not that No Ping seemed to care in the last game, but it can feel kind of awkward if this Doom is not a core. Um, Now, what is No Ping going to draft here? A lot of the times we would see things like, you know, even Rubik being played against Spirit Breaker and Snapfire, but Rubik not really a popular hero in competitive right now. Also, but I do feel like No Ping played it at least once. Doesn't really look like a good Rubik game though. I'm gonna get a Nyx.
Okay, next pass, pretty good against Snapfire. Lots of AoE damage you can interrupt his pretty easily. I wonder if this also means we're going to be pairing it up with like for Joker. Get that global present. Nyx set something up, relocate on top, Sunstrike on top. Very nasty. Cool.
It's possible. It is one of Analog's favorite heroes, and it's also KXY favorite hero. And considering they didn't ban it on the side of NoPing, not only it denies the Invoker, but it could easily also set up the Invoker, as you mentioned. But I don't feel like Analog really plays a lot of Exhort Invoker, so maybe they just want to deny that hero and pick him something else. The Doom could even be his hero, as far as I'm aware. But regardless, I think the Nyx is really good. Not only counters things already picked, but probably puts a wrench in the plans that SG had with this draft.
In terms of cores and mids, I guess to do know that already. What heroes are we counteract?
Well, I feel like it's more about the play. Like the problem that I see here is that the way you usually counter Doom is the play style. You go like Beastmaster. You definitely make sure that you control the map, and it just goes against what Doom does, which is basically AFK farm until 15-20 minutes where you have your Midas BKB. They do go for this Ursa, so it does put a little bit of pressure in the lane. But despite that, I don't feel like it's gonna necessarily be an easy lane for the Ursa. This hero is not the strongest version it ever had, and with either the Nyx or the IO, I think they would be able to cover this Doom fairly well. You can always start with boots or start with Windlace, and you don't feel as scared. Although this ogre is pretty scared, if he just goes Bloodlust and Ignite, it is a lot of slow and move speed for the Ursa. I actually
Yeah,
hope
the
they
Ursa
play
alone
this mid
perhaps
Doom.
could struggle, but with Ogre starting to feel a bit better about the lane.
Yeah, I really want them to flex this Doom out of the off lane. I think that like if you can do that and at the same time pick a hero that is really good versus Ursa, it would feel really good for NoPing. Like maybe just get a ranged offlaner. I mean, you don't really see a lot of windrunners, and I don't think Monster plays that. But oh, they go Vano. I love it. Nice.
See that hero who can sort of kite around the enemy. Does leave me a bit concerned though, because you have both the Venomancer and the IO who don't really offer anything done.
Yeah. They are actually banking a lot on the Nyx and the eventual Centaur Stomp on the Doom. But it was not a problem last game. I feel like as long as you know your timings and you posture well, you should be fine. And they do have that last pick on NoPing. Um, we'll see what they do.
Now for SG, you have the Ursa, the Doom, which can sort of go two ways, especially when you get the shard upgrade on Ursa. Got a lot of uptime coming out on your increased status call, but on the other hand, if you get sort of fight, so reliant.
Yeah. It is definitely not pretty. I feel like from the heroes that NoPing can pick, Drow looks relatively good. You have the Science on the charge. You have the Kiting on the Ursa. They actually have pretty much four melee heroes on the side of SG, so Drow looks really, really good. But if they want to play something else, I also wouldn't mind a Lifestealer. I think you don't really care about the kisses. You naturally build into Halberd, have an evasion talent for the Ursa. And they're also super tanky heroes, so the Feast also feels really, really good.
Yeah, that could lead to some very interesting interactions in Fest as well. IO relocates the Doom in on top of the next assassin, but you can have
Yeah.
a life
Don't
stealer, and that's
rival.
very interesting.
Nyx
There is
Assassin.
a lot of damage on the side of SG though, both physical and magical damage. There's the Luna Band that we're talking about. Together, and I, there's still just so many heroes that can benefit. Perhaps
Mm-hmm. CK seems okay. Although they do have a fair amount of AoE coming from the charge and the kisses, so maybe what else could they play here for RDO? I mean, Carry TA doesn't seem that bad. It's very similar hero to Luna. You lane well, you jungle well. Definitely benefit from having an IO and a save because once TA gets isolated, she can easily fall. So I wouldn't mind the TA. You're also against a lot of melee heroes, so I don't feel like the lane would be bad at all for her.
Yeah,
That
TA.
is
You can,
if the Doom is not a carry and they're gonna last pick mid and completely G-bait us.
well, SG in that case would be debated along with us. They're clearly expecting a position one pick
Yeah,
up there.
true, true, true. So what do they need here? They need a mid for KXY. Don't really want to play Invoker in this game. Voids. I mean, that Nyx is just so annoying. Wait, what? Is this a
Mid
mid
Spirit
willow?
Breaker?
Possible actually. Uh, I mean, I would love to see mid willow, but mid spirit breaker is not bad either. Seems
Yeah,
like a lot of
I know
fun.
Thompson has been playing a lot of mid Willow
Yeah,
Hub. That's a bit of a different thing.
yeah, I've seen him play a lot of mid willow, and indeed he can be very strong, but it feels very pubby. Uh, which I don't really see a problem because when a team like SG is failing as much as they are, I do feel like you really want to make your game as easy as possible. So if everyone is comfortable with their heroes, I can vouch for that. And they go Gyro.
Gyro plus the IO, pretty classic combination there. The analog playing the June. That's
Hmm. And that's going to be a mid Snapfire, actually. Lots of minus armor, I guess, if he goes that route. I kind of like this actually because you have the super mobile hero on the breaker, allowing the kisses from far away. So this is actually pretty cool. I guess the
a bit worried about
problem,
the matchup next task.
yes, it is a core Snapfire. So I guess you do have the levels to not really fear the Nyx that much, but most of your follow-up damage can be easily nullified if Theoly Core is in good position.
I'll see what
Oopsie.
happens. I think the lane, honestly, between Doom and Snapfire should be pretty boring. I don't expect any kills unless there's any rotation. Both farm up pretty well. Snapfire very good at clearing up camp. I think the side lane is where we could see some kills come.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be a lot of brawling there with the Ursa and the Venomancer. There's definitely a lot of mind games that come with forcing the Gale. The cooldown is pretty high, right? 21 seconds. So as long as they can force the Gale, Monster has to play very careful. So it can go either way. Ursa can die, Vino can die. And on the other side, where we have this Io Gyro, there's also some kill potential. I feel like this breaker Willow lane is pretty strong. Super easy to just set up the brambles once the charge comes through, and that's a lot of disable time.
Definitely not an easy game to be a Spirit Breaker in. So many targets, especially with the IO, it just feels really so tanky. You get onto a gyrocopter with the IO healing the entire time. Task stop your charge. The Doom likewise is pretty tanky, but often it's fine just to go in and die as for Spirit Breaker. So a lot of fire onto yourself, just able to force Sapphire that damage down. But I question whether the Spirit Breaker itself do get a
I'm very curious to see what's the build that KXY is gonna go, because in the past, you would just rush travels into Eggs, and that was really good. They nerf Eggs quite a bit now, so I wonder if, blinking to Shard is the actual way to go. Because I feel like if he relies too much on the kisses, he would be a sad Snapfire because of the Nyx, as we talked about. But if he can like somehow just blink stun the Nyx with the Scatter Blast and then the stun, he might be able to just solo kill the Nyx before he can even carapace. So We'll see. Maybe KXY has something prepared for us here.
You definitely don't pick a mid Snapfire just because they pick a hero as a mid. You definitely know what you're doing with it, so see what happens. The Doom, though, he's such a boring hero to play against mid lane, going to the bottle. How are you ever gonna push this guy out of lane?
Yeah, he is definitely an obnoxious guy, and he might just go Midas, and you know, he might be.
Oh, 3 heroes up
bit slow.
top. This is getting a bit awkward for our Ursa here. He finally coming in from the over, but down to 20% HP farm.
He's dead.
Surrounded by his enemy, 3% to kill over Gyrocopter. That's how easy they thought it was. That's first blood on the first division of SD.
And that's with the lane pushing. Look at that, they have 2 range creeps. So it's just gonna be so sad. The Earth is gonna TP back, and he's not gonna have a lane. Wait,
Yeah,
he's
he
walking?
literally has no. So,
What?
I mean, what happened? Do you try and go back? Do you try and salvage the lane? Try and swap perhaps?
Oh, he's back, but oh man, this is a sad state. I guess he's gonna have a couple of creeps now, but oh, and they wait for the TP to actually send the jar bottom. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Really
it's
good.
gonna be the lane swap coming out from NoPing back to the normal lane. Gyrocopter off to a nice early start and start accelerating farm on that hero. You get ahead, start taking back Gyro. Very tested.
They do force this tri-lane now, so it will give Ursa a little bit more gold, but he will be very sad level-wise, because that's a level 3 Venomancer versus a level 1 Ursa. Like, this Veno doesn't really fear anything.
Well, we'll see if he can survive. Does get stunned up, rooted up as well. Bramble made pretty good ability. They just aren't able to get range of the Earth. Certainly not with that many creeps.
Another thing NoPing did really well here is that they blocked the small camp, so even though they're investing 3 heroes in this lane, they can't really mess with the creep equilibrium at all. The lane will keep pushing towards NoPing.
And Veno, all you need really early on is those levels. Later on, when you get those items together, then we have a lot of build potential. Or back today. Going for arguably the easier target here on the next set. Throws out the Immortale. Still will end up going down. So a bit of recovery out there from Arm. Mid lane's pretty boring, as expected. Really impossible to get kills. Slight advantage for KXY and yes, knife department, but always have the Devour gold going back there. Over there. What's going on? Not sure what this is about.
Okay. Weird pause. One thing we didn't mention is that super deep SG ward actually, in between the large camp and the medium camp on the big jungle. Not really sure what that's about. Maybe they wanted to scout the lanes, but it doesn't really
Oh
do
well,
it
so much for
necessarily.
that. They still got surprise lane swap, so that didn't work.
True.
And it's not like Spirit Breaker can really snipe Curry.
Yeah, that's the buff the hero needs, right? Being able to charge couriers.
Well, I guess you can still bash the courier, but I don't know if that's really the
Can you
ideal
actually bash
courier.
him? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. That would be really fun if you can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can bash, but I don't know if it deals like it does the animation. I know that, but I don't know if it actually does the damage.
I see. I see. Yeah, it is magical at the end of the day, so it might not actually do the damage. Okay, so KXY is gonna try and steal the stack here that the Doom made. It's having a really good lane. I mean, obviously the Doom will get the farm and all, but that's a 5.5 versus a 4.5.
Yeah, level 6 on Snapfire is going to be pretty big as well. Barely have to walk into the river to get in range of the ultimate. But which lane do you really set up into? That's sort of the problem. Spirit Breaker by himself, probably have to rotate some of the support, but if you go top lane, then you're against the next assassin. Feels great.
Yeah, that is true. You can always wait for the carapace to be used, though. As long as you're keeping tabs, it is possible that you
Well,
just...
gonna be charging it onto Monster, 4-man rotation, or free in this lane. Gonna be a pretty dead Venomat for absolutely nothing that Theo can do. He doesn't even bother trying to throw out Impale there, but rather save his mana, save the lost pool.
Mana is more worth it than you, Venomancer.
Yeah, overload, you know. Gonna be repeating exactly the same action here on the assassin. He's getting double bash there just to make sure. I'm pretty dead anyway, but now he's dead. Mid lane, Analog gets taken very low. Really has to be careful. That was the Snapfire Kisses being used. So, you know, when you look at it another way, that's a lot of kill pressure gone from KXY, and for better or worse, because he's under leveled, that does mean that Arjun still has his ultimate, gets the salve, gets the bottle of refill, gets level 6. We try and get something done on KXY as well. You have the defensive rotation coming in from the other side of things. Doom comes down on Snapfire. You get charged up on Theo, and they die for this kill. Definitely not just the next assassin. Analog, too many enemies around and go commitment. Look at so much confidence coming out from KXY. Going around with the enemy, thrusting in his team, keeping him alive. Take down the enemy. Analog, though, pretty tanky. Frost made buff, but still will end up going down. Pretty good trade there for SG. KXY playing things on the limit. Does get rewarded.
Okay. I mean, that's insane, honestly. It is, like, SG playing with 2 lanes only, though, because Hiko has been out of this bottom lane for 2 or 3 minutes now. But a lot of space created. That is a very happy Snapfire. Doom being committed, so... NoPing, they don't really have a lot of moves to make, right? You have this Venomancer that doesn't make moves, and you have a minute and a half of a Doom being AFK.
That bottom lane, we're seeing that charge combination together with the Mortimer's Kisses. Bash comes out, RDO will get taken down through the healing of KJ. That's a pretty big kill. That was sort of the one thing that was going the way of NoPing, was losing all their lane. They can't do anything, but at least they're tied with farm as well. That's no longer the case. Up top lane though, going for the dive. Arm has likewise been suffering after that very poor start to lane. Gonna try and get revenge for it. Probably will be successful. Losing your position 1 is never good, even if you take down.
Definitely. And you do have Analog, you know, already farming quite a bit with the level 2 Devour, going Midas. I think the actual problem, once again, for SG is that even getting all those kills, they are terrible at CG, once again. So, how much are they going to be able to do with all those kills? You know, they're all kind of separated around the map.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're going for these kills, whether they get them or not. I don't know if it matters if they're just getting outscaled and scored.
Yeah, I mean, Curse is coming, so maybe...
Snapfire comes in, point blank Scatter Blast is going to do plenty of damage. With that Haste Rune, pretty easy to clean up a couple of kills there.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine for SG. This is the best they looked in both games of this series. But I do hope that somehow they actually start grouping up to take those towers. Because, you know, it's nice to get those kills, but if this goes late enough, as we talked about, you know, with the Nyx and having the IO to save whoever gets initiated, I do feel like NoPing has the overall late game.
This is very awkward. Looking for some vision. I mean, it's all pretty standard. You want to get the vision against the Gyrocopter. Will get taken down in the Shadow Realm. But the Doom comes out, canceling the Mortimer's Kisses. This time around, KXY doesn't have his team to back him up. Do we really want to go for the dive, though? That's the question. Just a little too low on the Doom. Ooh, nice. Venom of Scale actually catching their Snapfire here. Black Cannon onto the high ground. KXY surviving for now, but will eventually get denied. So that is something mid laner for mid laner, but if you don't get the gold, Arms finally hitting level 6, but forced into a fight against heroes that he just can't take on. Tries to get some damage on the other side of things, but that means he has to run into a gyrocopter with all that Black Cannon damage. Monster putting out DPS the entire time. Everyone is just getting poisoned here. He will survive through it all, puts out so much ambient damage. Still, it's hard to say who actually came out ahead there.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like it's NoPing, you know, just because of the Doom mechanics and the fact that we kind of agree that they have a better late game. But it's not bad, you know. I just feel like SG they would probably benefit a little bit more if they just group the bottom and mirror this move when OP is doing that. That's really what wins Dota games.
It felt like the Snapfire Kisses didn't do that much this time around as well. Just playing a little too close, perhaps, for the Mortimer's Kisses. But it is an awkward hero sometimes. You know, do you want to be close range? Do you want to use your Q and your W, or do you want to be at a further distance? Ultimate damage. This time did have to get denied as a result, but it's not like it was a terrible fight for them to survive, or rather not give the money over. And SG, they're going to be going for that group up in the bottom lane, as you were suggesting. But Theo could be pretty instrumental here in scouting things out. Doesn't have to be careful, he does walk into a stand tree.
It's super hard to push against the Venomancer if they cannot dive him, so they really had any intel for the charge. Analog should be Gucci.
Yeah, I mean, Monster's form hasn't been amazing, but he did do his job of keeping the Ursa down. Arm, though, looking for revenge. Able to close the distance. Melee attacks off. Big pull. I really won't do too much. Relocate comes in just a second too late. They actually know that the Ursa doesn't have the enrage, so they're very happy to commit the Doom onto him. But the burst damage coming out from KXY is over-leveled mid-Snapfire, doing so much damage there. They're able to get the 3-for-1 trade, losing their position 1. They should be able to get the tower immediately after this as well. I think, or no. Benno just...
Yeah, they even after they win, they get so low HP that they gotta respect the Venomancer a little bit, but they will smoke straight after that. Let's see if if they can kill.
Yeah, not the easiest hero to kill, but he didn't have the vision. Theo, put off guard, doesn't get the chance to use the fight Carapace. This time, surely we're going to be taking down this tower, especially if Monster goes down very early on. He is able to turn around and get a bit of damage onto WJJ, was low earlier. Won't be able to finish this off, so pretty nice turn of events coming around for SG. As you were saying, possibly the best of look this series. We'll see if they can continue the momentum, because look at the net worth, they're still not ahead.
Yeah, it has definitely been a kill game more than a map control sort of game. Finally, SG gets the tier 1 bottom. They do have interesting ways to roach. So once again, SG actually with the draft they can eventually just collapse into the roach pit. KXY going for the eggs build from the past. I don't think this is the... I don't want to say best, but like this definitely looked better than it is now. But it is a way for the Ursa to save money with the Blink Dagger, right? You just throw this Ursa and make sure that he buys other items. And ideally, you can just do a lot of damage.
I just saw the relocate gank there, but that was pretty much a guaranteed kill. And it was just onto the Dark Willow, so not much to say about that. I think if you're SG, you're happy losing Dark Willow because you know the relocate down. Maybe we can get that Roshan play that you were talking about.
Xerxes is level. I don't think he can do this by himself. I really don't think he can.
Yeah, he's got the mask, I suppose. But it just goes so much smoother if you have someone else attack for him.
Okay.
Well, it
I
doesn't
guess
seem
it
to
is
matter.
a-
Again, just the fact that the relocate is down was enough confidence for him to make that play scan just a second too late. What can we do with this Aegis? That is the question. Ursa still a bit under farmed. Second last of the cores working on the defusal blade. We're almost 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I hope he just farms this diffuser instead of actually posturing here because he doesn't have his ult. He actually used it for the road. He could, I mean, taking the tower is important, but he has to play very carefully.
Eco gets called out at the invis that he walked into a sentry, but that does allow his team. No, okay. I thought they were going to go for the tower, but apparently Boots have traveled down to the bottom lane. KXY just looking to farm up that axe. And Arms, we'll see if this works out for him. Could be farming, instead he's going to be looking to fight with this Aegis. Leaving behind the Ogre Magi here is going to be better than losing her Aegis carrier, but you know, it's his Aegis time that just wasn't used productively.
Yeah, the X is ready. I think that's really the timing that they want. Ideally, okay, they're going for
Cookie
this.
setup from the Siege, great bit of bonus damage coming in from the Dark Willow as well. We'll be able to take down the field. So that is something. Charge comes in as well. Comes in with a nice engage onto the next assassin. We'll be able to take him down. Could be a bit of an issue sometime. But they do get 2 kills traded for 1. Does cost them the Mortimer's Kisses, which is a pretty long cooldown. Can we get some more? No more Nether Strike. Can we just do it with the right click? Going to the Venomafter is always going to be very annoying. We just have the IO healing there. They take him down before you get too much poison damage out. But that is pretty big. Without the Venomanther, it's pretty hard to defend your towers. So it should finally be the tier 1 tower going down. SG looking okay for them.
Yeah, it's looking really good. I feel like NoPing has been a little bit too crazy with the way they're positioning, being a little bit too split. So, you know, it's allowing for the start of those pickoffs to happen. And they will finish this diffusal, and I wouldn't be surprised to see actually just smoking and trying to get a little bit more out of that Aegis. They do have like half of the duration still. And with the Axe on the Snapfire, it's just so easy for them to initiate and enable this Ursa.
Yeah, we'll see if NoPing are ready to respond. Got a couple of defensive tools. The relocate can be nice. So we'll see what happens. Snapfire will be act. I want to say is sort of less countered by the Nick. It's more about enabling your teammate rather than doing damage yourself, and there's a lot of good targets that you can throw in. Even the Dark Willow, I think, is not terrible. We got a charge coming in top. Not that much follow-up just yet. Is going to be delayed, so not going to commit. Arms just a bit too slow there. Only finally getting to the Fusel Blade. Can we get something out of this Aegis, though? That's going to be the fundamental problem.
Yeah, I mean, they did get a little bit of map control, but it definitely doesn't feel like they are totally choking NoPing right now. They're still farming, of course.
KXY gets spotted out, relocate on top of the assassin. Very straightforward 1-2 punch. He will take him down, but the charge counter engage. All the TPs coming in. They're going to go for the relocate instead with the IO, so no relocate out. Turning things around. Pretty big stun there from the next assassin. But then Rage attack to it all. In the meantime, we're able to get out on the Gyrocop. Really the thing that matters.
Yeah, it was a really good TP from RDO. He also finishes his BKB. And that's with the Aegis expiring in 30 seconds. So SG, you know, they gotta be careful because they could end up in a fight that they think is advantageous and ends up very sad.
2 supports for the enemy mid laner. Time on the Aegis just still hasn't been used productively. The story of this game is SG feels like they're in the driver's seat, feels like they have map control, they're being aggressive, but they haven't actually gotten anything substantial.
Yeah, and you know, kind of, I don't want to harp too much on this. I don't want to blame KXY for all of SG's problems, but I feel like he's been split pushing a lot. Like he farmed his eggs, but he literally, I mean literally, didn't use the eggs a single time on a hero. So, you know, why are you farming this item for so long if you don't want to commit? And now he doesn't have it. He could use it to save maybe someone.
Yeah, the farming Aghanim Scepter, not too sure about that. Mortimer's Kisses used as well. Really find too much damage, but coming around from behind. This could be the play that we want. Nope. That was not the play that we want. Just so awkward with the positioning. SG, they were like, oh, do we run through the river? Do we try and commit for this? And then they realize they don't have the Aegis, they don't have Mortimer's Kisses. That's going to be a tier 1 tower taken down with no contest. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, they just really need to press their buttons together as a team on SG. You know, for 5 minutes already, they had everything they needed, but they just didn't really play together. You know, you had SB playing with the Willow somewhere. You had KXY split pushing. ARM sometimes would follow someone to try and maybe make a play, but then he would go back farming. It feels like they don't really have a plan. Do they have a smoke on any of the supports? They don't. So, yeah, not really reassuring.
RDO. It's been pretty quiet from him, but was able to survive through their gank attack. Charge very aggressively. You get throw in from the for Ags, that's BKB. About BKB, can SG try and force them? I think they'll find direct kills, but that tier 1 tower alive for a very long time. SG, and they get it done. All gonna come down. They are on a bit of a timer. Gyro late game, so hard to deal with. Forcing out the BKB on analog as well. Posturing, he doesn't have the Doom. Hang around for a bit of time. We'll still be fine though, has his team back up.
Yeah, he does buy his blink, so possibly a smoke coming from NoPing now. We do have that initiation. So
No way to really
KXY has the
siege
card.
towers either.
Yeah. Oh, double damage. This is big.
You give over the bottle. Hold on to that for longer. And this, that, you know, if they win a fight, they could quite easily take Roshan.
Yeah, 5 seconds for the respawn timer. Let's see if they're gonna get lucky or not. Okay, pretty long one.
Yeah, not too sure if that's good for NoPing or SG. Either way, it's gonna be NoPing going to smoke up here. Venomancer not exactly with them, but high ground control can be very good. This is gonna be big. A huge stun coming out there from the Centaur Stomp on the 3 heroes. They even doom up the Ursa just to make sure he can't interfere. Now, can they chase him down with Monster showing up at the perfect moment? That's gonna be the ultra kill given over to RDO. SG walking into the jaws of NoPing. Perfect setup there.
What a beautiful smoke. They were so patient. They waited there. They put the vision. Just really easy to execute once everything is in place. And now they might even find KXY here. His blink is on cooldown, but I guess Theo doesn't really have the means to chase. Fortunately for SG, Roche is going to take a while to respawn, so they won't lose that necessarily. They will have all of their cooldowns and heroes up when Roche respawns.
Oh no, that absolutely could have been a disaster. Imagine if you get a Roshan right after that, you're literally right next to the Roche pit, and you're having so many problems dealing with the gyrocopter already. How are you supposed to deal with him with an Aegis?
Yeah, it's not easy. They don't really have any Lotus Orbs on the side of SG, no Lincolns being bought. But this Ursa, he relies on pretty much pressing Enrage before the Doom comes out, or else he's just going to be a sad bear.
Yeah, I mean, he just got doomed so early in the fight. Did survive for a while until he got finished off by the relocator.
Oh
But not
my
gonna be throwing
lord.
at the Ursa. Doesn't actually
What are
land
they
onto anything.
doing?
He gets stunned up. The chain stun. It's perfect. He can't do anything. And now the BKB's coming out from NoPing. Just gonna be running down the enemy. What the hell are they supposed to do? KXY just doesn't offer that much damage afterwards. It's all the Ursa with a constant DPS, just like that. NoPing takes 2 back-to-back teamfight wins. Still no Roshan actually checking in at a very bad time. Just respawns down. They do see it with the Plague Ward. And that worst case scenario for SG that didn't quite happen before, it's happening now.
You throw your Ursa that has no BKB in a high ground like that when you have no vision. That was really weird.
I mean, it almost makes sense if that was a NoPing play. It almost felt like an Earth Spirit rolling in, turning the Earth into a Remnant, and pulling him into his team or something along those lines. But no, that's just going to be an Aegis given over to RDL. That even gives
Dude, if I'm arms in
KJ...
that game, I'm disabling help as soon as that play happens. I'm disabling help. Nope. You're not throwing me ever again.
And that's also the first real toss-in that was seen from the Snapfire Goblet. We were talking about it earlier on. That was, I don't know, a rush tag to do this?
Yeah, I agree. Okay, then we'll find Hiko here.
Well, just these heroes getting picked off on the side lane, looking to stall out the game, looking to get some vision, slowly but surely allowing Ursa to farm up. I mean, arms up BKB playing out to him. But if it comes at the cost of you bleeding out heroes, not exactly ideal. But on the bright side, you're not losing towers. For what it's worth, NoPing. I've only taken 2 towers so far. We'll see if they can really start to come back to control of the game.
I think SG, they do correctly pinpoint and NoPing is going for this bottom side of the map. I am not sure I agree with them posturing to defend a tier 1, but sure.
Well, we'll see if it works out for them. Mortimer's Kiss is just going to be there to sort of zone out the enemy. And yeah, he doesn't even bother channeling it. He just throws out, what, 5? Knows that the next test is going to be nearby. I just don't see any way they do this. RMB gets spotted out. I'm not too sure. He's got the BKB. He's forced to use End Rage. Will be able to survive for now. The rest of his team unable to do too much there at the Dual Scepter with the setup. He got the BKB, will be forced to use it, but turning around, doesn't feel like he does nearly enough damage. AJ, yes, he goes down, but compared to the damage from Gyro, it's just not even close.
Yeah, I mean, KXY literally just used his ult and TP top, and SG kept pressure and like posturing. I don't know who's to blame here, if the call was get out and they didn't, or if KXY just randomly decided to do that. But you know, it makes the game really hard. I think that even though they were playing fast with the Eggs, they still had a pretty decent shot at winning. But you know, with that toss on arms and then this play, it just makes the game exponentially harder for SG.
Hiko does get dusted up. Got the Blink Dagger here. Do we want to use the Duma? No, it's not available. Excuse me, drop the field frames on Dota there. Nice interrupt with the Yule Scepter, which also does purge off the Bulldoze. And, well, now you're just sitting duck. Or sitting cow, or whatever it is. Well, BKB used on the other side of this. That is something, but you've still got the Aegis on the Gyrocopter. Still going to be pretty healthy when he gets filled up. That's going to be a very aggressive flank in with the Shivas providing the vision. Getting right onto Pico. Not that much bullet damage just yet. Gyrocopter not committing. Does get pushed away by Terrorize. Now turning things around onto Analog. He doesn't have BKB. Does take arms using his own BKB. That. Can you continue the fight? Gyrocopter is low. Impale out onto the Ogre Magi once again. He's Artificial Lamb getting left behind. So awkward for arms to fight in without the BKB. Monster diving under the towers could be a big mistake. All of his mana is gone. Mortimer's Kiss is on top just to make sure. Pretty nice blink out there from KXY. Yes, he left Arms behind, who is tanky when he's got the Enrage. Now that the Enrage expires, though, RDO is going to be able to deal with him pretty easily. But it is just RDO and Theo here. Theo with Spike Carapace not going to be enough to keep him alive. But it's all about the Gyrocopter. He's still got the Aegis. One against the world. We'll see what he can do. BKB there. Gonna be huge. Doesn't actually get that much damage. He will survive long enough. Not get stunned. RDO. 30 seconds on the Aegis. Really want to be going for this kill. He's turning around. He's got the Satanic. Still healing up there. Gobble. Actually avoiding a lot of damage there. But KXY pressing the buttons in a bit of a wrong order. Doesn't matter. They are still able to claim first life. Gonna be respawning very soon on the IO. Now's that relocate, of course. RDO. Looks like he'll just be fine. Relocate comes to bail him out. He gets another kill there. Beyond godlike streak for RDO. Just sitting nice and pretty through that entire fight with Aegis and whatnot. He gets the job done.
Alright, so one thing that definitely becomes scary this game if NoPing doesn't close it out fast enough is that the Snapfire is starting to scale a little bit. You do have, this MKB, the Little Shredder uses attack damage talent. Eventually, you get the spread Little Shredder. Could be scary. So far, it kind of tickles RDO, but it can get, especially the supports, it can get super strong.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as it was for SG in the end, they were able to kill everyone except for the Gyrocopter, and in fact, they were able to kill the Gyrocopter just that at the Aegis. So, if you're NoPing, you definitely can't get complacent. Oh, we're seeing this yet again. Breaker getting full out. We'll be able to TP. Nope, he'll Scepter Bear for the cancel. And it's just exactly the same scenario, it feels like. Although this time, if he's able to survive, that's a lot of time wasted. Actually sets things up for SG to go for smoke. But that smoke completely the wrong side of the map. And, well, that was a bit of a sad end for Hugo there.
He could have canceled the charge. He was very bold with just charging that way, but okay.
Yeah, that's all you can really say, right? Okay. Feeding more kills to the Gyrocopter, who is now going to be in that top lane.
His goal is to actually do what other humans did to him. He's feeding the enemy so he can feast at the end. He's making them fat for his own pleasure.
Yes. Clearly that is the winning strategy here. I just don't see how they deal with the Gyro now that he's got the IO with him as well. Relocate is ready. Gonna be going for the smoke, the wraparound on the high ground. Theo, they get the Doom out onto the Ursa. Relocate being used as well. That's just Ursa taken down without even needing RDO. It's just too easy for them. Falling apart, even get the Centaur stun from the Doom out onto Darquillo. Having a great game here, actually, on Analog. Bit of a shaky start, but that Centaur Stomp has done so much work for him this game.
That was such a clutch play from Analog because, they were pinging high ground there as if there was a ward. But somehow NoPing knew exactly where the Ursa was with absolutely no vision. Really nicely done because, usually if there's no vision, you expect the Ursa to be able to press and rage at least. But no, he just got demolished by Analog, as you said. Had kind of a shaky start. Feels like, with the DPC season and overall this season, his laning stage was not his forte, but he's definitely playing well, the overall mid game. KXY though, is he gonna live?
Yeah, goes in for the cheeky pickoff. He does get, but will he pay for it with his life? Analog, he's just such a bully now. He's too damn tanky. KXY turns around though, gets a lot of damage out. But with Pico as his partner, there's not too much that Mr. Brave can offer right now. In fact, he's going to be going down as well. All of his mana being burned. A big boy does show up now though. But Arms didn't use the BKB there. Afraid to commit. Buys enough time for RDO. Paired up with KJ, going to be chasing them away. And wait, what did he get Nick's carapace stun? I
I
swear I saw
think
the
I think
carapace
a
stun on me.
carapace. Yeah, I think so. He went on the Brambos on the lower left, maybe.
Well, just like that,
I'm not even
SG
sure.
bleeding out so many kills.
Oh,
In we go, very deep commitment with the Yule Scepter. Both the Magi doesn't stand a chance. Arms, though, he's so strong with that Enrage and the BKB, but it can only last for so long, and the rest of the team is dead. Only just flying back now. Arms, how deep do you want to go? Do you really have the balls to go for that? I mean, he does, but just without the bat, he ends up getting taken down. SD really trying to force this fight, however. Gyrocopter taken extremely low, but he does have the relocate as well as that satanic. Will be fine. All the buybacks being committed here from SD. Their full 5-man roster is back up again, but can they get the kills on the exit? It's just the IO going down, which is definitely not what they need.
Roche is up though. Roche is up if SG. I hope they focus here instead of chasing for. Well, they can get an all, it's fine. But
Well, that's gonna have to be a deny there. Chasing is exactly what they do, and they don't even get that kill. Nice blink out there from the Doom too. He even has the refresher BKB if he really needs it. SG,
they are lost.
it's not looking great for them after those buybacks. We'll see if Roshan can.
I feel like in that fight where they had the buybacks, they either took way too long to buy back the Snapfire, or Arms just chased a little bit too long. Because if you see that your Snapfire's not buying back, you really got it.
RTO, he's feeling very confident here. He's still got BKB. Doom comes out onto KXY Arm, taking that BK, taking the Aegis rather, will be able to take him out. But SD losing heroes, but they don't have buyback on these. KXY down 2 full minutes. I just don't see how SB can hold on. It's not impossible, but I feel like it has to involve mistakes coming out from NoPing, which is so strange to say, considering that their goal is now to go high ground against an Aegis. But RDO is just so damn farmed. He's actually literally doubling the net worth of enemy Division 1 after this buyback. He's just an absolute monster right now.
I actually feel like they could just go tier 4s if they want to, but they will go for the safe play. Get bottom. I mean, they can force a fight. I don't think they can wait the Snapfire. They probably have to trade the Ogre and actually commit the top barracks defense.
Yeah, there is actually the refresher shard on top of the Aegis. It's actually very good on the Ursa. Gonna be going for the deep commitment. Plenty of stuns there to take down the Dark Willow. There's so much damage coming out. Theo doesn't even need the Great Vendetta for that. That's now 2 lanes of racks. Not going to be pushing their luck just yet with the tier 4s. It seems they want to go for Megas, which is arguably the safer choice.
Urihiko gets killed.
Analog in front lines. Gonna be going for the gyrocopter. I'm not too sure that's a target. Gonna be using that refresher. So many overpowered stacks, but RDO healing through all of it. KJ is just offering so much healing. But that BKB with the refresher lasts for so damn long, but the entire time it's Arms losing HP, whereas RDO is not. Gonna be respawning there with the Aegis RDO. Can he actually get it done? There's just so much CC now that the BKB has expired. Arms cannot do anything with his second life. I think we're looking at getting them again here.
It definitely looks like it. Snapfire's gonna get through. I mean, pretty decent performances from SG, but like with most of their games, their decision making is really out of nowhere. Core just TPs somewhere else. Like they rarely play as 5. In a way, it feels like it feels like they are angry at each other. Like they don't feel very comfortable playing together, which is weird for a Division 1 team. But yeah,
so
nicely
many
played
of
by
their
NoPing.
initiations didn't feel right. First item, Aghanim Scepter on KXY didn't seem to do anything with it.
Yeah, not at all. Really nicely done by NoPing though. Like not a lot of stuns as we talked about, but they just made it work, right? They analog like they didn't felt pressured once like analog died in the lane because they knew they had the power spikes on the gyrocopter coming. They never really got too scared, and the plan worked.
Pretty nice relocate coming in both offensively and defensively. RDO just farming up a storm. Uh, on the other side of things, looking at the net worth comparison right now, barely, not even 13K net worth on ARMS, but RDO 33K. That was a very dominant performance.
Definitely.
Right, so that's gonna be it for us here in the Bitsler Cup. But DTSA is going to be starting up in less than half an hour. So if you do want to see more Dota action, do stay tuned to this channel. And yeah, that's it from us from now. I'm Stinkypie, joined here by D2Bowie. Hope you've had as much fun as we have.
Yeah, had a lot of fun. Thank you for having me, Stinky.